morning and welcome to St. Moritz in Switzerland, and just look at the views. We're high in the Engadin Valley at the home of ice sliding. For getting on for now a century and a quarter. They've been racing from the town of St. Moritz down the valley to the village of Celerina, and we do so again this year in the footprints of those who have travelled before. This is the longest, the fastest and the only natural track in the business, and on Friday we start our action with skeleton. Women this morning, then the men at lunchtime and early afternoon for the teams competition. And of course this the venue for the 1928 and 1948 Winter Games. Skeleton was part of both of those on the legendary Cresta Run that runs alongside the Olympia Bobrun. Well, Anna Fernstedt will be the first off, and she is one of 10 different medalists this season. 6 races in, we have already had 6 different race winners. Will we have a 7th? We may well do, because St. Moritz tends to be a bit of an anomaly when it comes to our sliders. Anna Fernstedt from Czechia is first off, beginning the sliding weekend here in glorious St. Moritz. The track hand-built in the trees every season, slightly different every year, and because this is the first IBSF World Cup race, we have a new start record. It'll be a track record at the bottom as well. From the long flat start, you go into kink 1 and kink 2, then the first notifiable bend, you've just seen wall. This is snake 1 and snake 2, down to sunny corner. Those are the lights shining on it, not yet the sun, and down from Sunny into Nash and Dixon, named after the St. Moritz Bob Club winners of the '64 two-man Olympic gold. At a horseshoe, and now building speed through Telephone and Shamrock, the big left at Devil's Dyke, and then 4 right-handers after Nameless. You got Tree, Bridge, which goes over the railway, or the railway goes over Leap, and then the final one, the Gunter Sachs curve, that sends you on the short shoot down to Martineau, across the outrun and over Portago, and across the line, Anna with a 1:10.55. And considering they were doing 59 seconds in frosty conditions a week ago in Winterberg, another near 20 seconds of glorious ice sliding in all but silence. The athletes hear the whistle of the wind and the track announcer as much as they hear the rattle of the sled on the ice. So first down of 39 athletes in the first heat. We start now with the first of our 3 consecutive British sliders, Amelia Coltman. Anna Fernstedt just started her 60th World Cup race, Amelia in her 18th. One World Cup here was 24th place in last year's race. Winner of the season opener in Pyeongchang, 5:33, good start from Amelia Coltman. Trying to stay as quiet as possible on the sled, try not to move at all in kink 1 and 2. This is so slow up here. And then into wall. Through snake 1 and 2. And down to Sunny, whipping in and out of Sunny. Through Nash and Dixon. Athletes saying they're steering just a little bit less this year. Everything seems to flow. Good height in horseshoe. 3 tenths up. First to hit triple figures in the forest was Anna Fernstedt. And that means the track is very quick already. It's been pretty cold the last couple of days. Overnight low traditionally gets down to about -20. Daytime high will be about -10. 1:33.6 at the bottom. She should have around a quarter of a second over Fernstedt. She does, 1:10.33. So start record and track record for Amelia Coltman as well. And you can see how quick the track is. They're going straight by the finish area.
10 seconds.
Good view here coming down to Horseshoe, but she's just too far to the left. Got good height right in the middle of the corner.
The track is clear.
And then no panic on the way out. She knew she had the line right. Even a bad run feels half decent here in St Moritz, and a good one must feel wonderful. Tabby Stoker now from Great Britain. Tabby in her 15th World Cup race. 23rd last year, just ahead of teammate Amelia. I beg your pardon, 21st last year. Raced here in a World Championships in 2023. That was her first senior level race here. And she too has a start record, 5:15. Now that will remain among the quickest. Outer wall into Snake, little bit of early height on Snake 1. And down into Sunny Corner. Skidding on the exit. Into Snake 1, Snake 2. Beg your pardon, Nash and Dixon. Not quite so high in Horseshoe. Nice exit though, no touches on the wall, no skids. Third best speed, but she should start rebuilding her advantage now. She got a good launch out of Horseshoe. Speed's still not quite there. First few runners on most tracks have the benefit of the best ice. The track tends to warm up, or the air warms up, the track gets quicker as the day goes on, so later runners won't be at a major disadvantage. 109.94 now. So these start records and track records not lasting very long. Tabby Stoker also a medalist this season. I beg your pardon, not a medalist this season. Has been a race winner, but not so this season. So decent height, not right up by the woodwork, but again, watch the toes, watch the legs, no correction. Ilko's mic isn't faded up, so didn't get any of that. Freya Tarbert next up for Great Britain, the third of our 3 British athletes. 28th place last year, her only race on the track. So none of the 3, or 2 of the 3 British sliders didn't make the cut last season. 5:37 getaway for Freya. 15th World Cup start for her, same as with Tabby Stoker. Just a little steer there, little toe steer, heading down into Snake 1. And again, little correction out of Sunny. Down to Horseshoe. And again, toe steer out of Horseshoe. Not got the control she wants. Third on the splits at the moment, third best speed. She's hovering right around where Anna Fernstedt was. Freya, the winner of the second race of the season. Amelia Coltman won the opener in Pyeongchang in crazy weather. And Freya, the second race, 5800s back, so she is 200s ahead of Anna Fernstedt. 300s ahead of Anna. I can't subtract, never should do maths live on air. Again, Anna, Nash and Dixon. That leads you over to the left-hand side. You need to be more to the right coming into Horseshoe. Long toe steer, just to bring the nose of the sled down. Next up, Hannah Neiser, our Olympic skeleton champion. Friends and family watching it. Funny how many friends and family manage to make it to St Moritz, and yet maybe not Rainy Winterberg or Altenberg. 5:45, 3/10 back from the fast start. Current leader Tabby Stoker from that fast start. Good form from Neiser though, but you can see the body moving, just swiveling those hips. No toes on the ice. Like you're a kid on your toboggan going down a hillside. If you dig your feet in, it slows you down. Well, it's the same here. Maybe not to the same effect, but we're talking about hundredths of a second here. Out of Nash and Dixon, down towards Horseshoe. Middle line. Wasn't sure about that, was she? She could have left it a little, maybe. Fourth best speed in the Forest. But she is up ahead of Anna Fernstedt on the splits. Third on the splits on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Nice's best result here, an 8th place finish. She raced here in the Junior Worlds, in the World Cup and the World Championships. 1:10.43. So that's a 1/10 of a second ahead of Freya Tarbit. She lies in 3rd place at the moment. St. Moritz has a strange vibe. Everybody loves it, but not everybody really unlocks the track. For some people it works really well. Alana Myers-Taylor would be one, Mimi Reniva would be another. Some athletes just really gel with the place, and yeah, Hannah, maybe not so much. 5 down, loads to go, 34 more to come. Next up, Kimberly Boss. Now, she does get on well with this track. The winner last time out, Kim. 65th World Cup start, and her last 3 races on this track, World Cup, World Championship, World Cup, silver, silver, gold. The most successful female slider of all on this track in the modern era, Shelley Rudman of Great Britain, 4 golds and a couple of other medals, including a World Championship gold. And it just seems that the forgiveness, the flexibility, if you like, of the Bromley sleds just seems to work well here. Or maybe it's athletes that need that work well here, I'm not sure. 2nd best at the start, 2nd best on the splits. Not finding much in terms of pace. Through the 4 fast right-handers, out of the Gunter Sachs curve. Must keep it straight down towards Martineau and Portago. Best speed of all. How close at the line? 100th back. Kim always starts well. She started 1,400 slower there than Tabby Sturker, the leader, and came down 100 slower. Funny how coaches seem to make it out as well. Good start from Kim Boss, and as always, just a relaxed, smooth run from the Dutch slider. So, after winning last week, what about Janine Flock of Austria? 111th World Cup race. 40 World Cup medals, the 40th one last weekend. One here in January 2018, 6 long years ago. Has been a medalist since then, though. Janine has had medals of all colours from here, and look at the form, just look at that. It's like she's found train tracks down to wall. No shifting of the weight at all. So 5:38 start, left her a 1/4 of a second nearly behind Tabby Sturker. That gaps out to 3,700 as she heads up to Horseshoe. There's the bus going round the corner on the road up by the track. 3,700s, I beg your pardon, 2,300s up to 3,700s back to 1,200s back now. Best speed in the Forest. The form is exemplary from Janine Flock. The speed is there. We have a new leader. We will have a new track record. 135.9 kilometers an hour on the first trip in race form. 109.56. Janine Flock, 2300s behind at the start. It went out to 3700s back before Horseshoe. She comes in 3800s in front. There's the exit of Horseshoe, medium low line, but into telephone, no dramas at all. Being very careful on the rock hard ice. Some years you come here, it's a little warm or mild. This year the ice is like marble. So next up, Jackie Pfeiffer for Germany. 6th place here last year, just ahead of Janine Flock. 68th World Cup start for Jacka. Hometown queen in Winterberg. Not the fastest starter, but in 8 World Cups here, she's taken 3 medals, a silver and 2 bronzes. Raced in the World Championships here in 2023 as well, came away without a medal though. Best result this season, 4th place in Pyeongchang, 5th place in Beijing. What is it about those tracks that gels with her, I wonder? Maybe that you need a flowing style and not an epic start. Big height in Horseshoe. Little clip in telephone, you heard it rather than saw it. Out of Devil's Dyke. Through Nameless, and then Tree. Bridge. Leap. And finally the Gunter Sachs curve. Really motoring on down here. 135 kilometers an hour. That's 84 plus 109.96. Not a bad looking run at all from Jacka. 8th fastest start, 4th at the bottom. Track will get quicker, so those who are off early, assuming that they stay relatively well connected with the lead group, will have better ice in the second heat than they had in the first. Nice height. See some new wood there just under the Horseshoe mark. The sled lost its, had its steering crossed up in training. One of our Romanian drivers went straight up into the wood there. Next up, Kim Marmans of Belgium. Kim a winner in Altenburg. 5:25 the getaway. Second fastest speed. A whisker under 30 miles an hour there already from a standing start or a running start. And the speed builds here very quickly indeed. If you ever come to St. Moritz and you take a taxi bob ride down, they don't run you off the top, they walk you, and you are still doing over 80 miles an hour down at the bottom. You cannot cheat gravity. Nice Horseshoe, nice telephone as well. Speed is there, yes it is, 101.4, fastest of all. She's extending her advantage again. It came down from 2300s to 1300s, out to 16. It's going to come back down again. Not as clean as Janine Flock, and took a little tap on the wall. Only 83.6 miles an hour at the bottom, and across the line 600s back, 109.62. Say good morning to her coach Richard Bromley, not running up there, he was at the start line. Nice height there in Horseshoe, but again a couple of taps in the forest. Alpha Willemsen helping out with the sled there, former Belgian bobsleigh pilot. Next up, Nicole Silveira. Nicole competing here in the women's singles, and for the first time, hopefully, there will be a Brazilian team in the teams competition as well. More of that later. 5:29, 900s up at the start over Janine Flock. Kim Marmans lies second, Tabby Sturker in third place. medalist as well this season, Nicole Silveira, the very first race of the year, the crazy weather-affected race in Pyeongchang, where the track melted away. She took her first ever World Cup medal with a bronze. 1900s up out of sunny corner. Lykin Marmons, coached by Richard Bromley. Second best speed of all. Superb looking run from Nicole Silveira. She's got just the stature you need, long, tall, nice relaxed slide, excellent out of the Sachs curve, but she's lost a little bit of speed in the forest. Is she going to lead at the line? She needs a new track record to do so. 500s back. So Janine Flock leads, 500s back Nicole Silveira, Brazil. 600s back Kim Marmons of Belgium. Just steering a little too much off Sachs, but what a good run from Nicole Silveira. Next up, Katie Eulander. Eulander, bronze medalist here in last year's race. That was Katie's second bronze medal here. Her first came in the 2007 Worlds. She's a winner here as well in the 2008 season. 5:55, the getaway. Well, what she might be giving away in terms of speed to some of her rivals at the top, she has got in spades in knowledge of this track. 13 World Cup starts in her several different careers as a skeleton slider. A few little toe corrections. And again, on the exit out of Horseshoe, 8th best speed, up to 10th on the splits. 11th best speed. The sled is not flying the way it should be. Great speed at the bottom, 83.2 miles an hour. And across the line, 11th place, 1:10.59. I thought she might find more than that. It's going to be tough to grab a medal from there.
20 seconds.
Nice height in Horseshoe, holds it late. Just look at the right toe there, just trying to hold her up a fraction.
10 seconds.
Didn't want to dive down and hit the wall on the left in telephone. Janine Flock the leader after our first 10 of 39 sleds. Next up, Hallie Clark for Canada, the world champion, the 20-year-old. 19th World Cup start for Clark. Finished 10th here in the World Championships, 11th in last year's World Cup race. And she was competing, oh, big skid there, competing in the Youth Olympic Games here in 2020. She finished in 12th. But there's quite a number of 2020 Youth Olympians, a couple of 2024 Youth Olympians in our skeleton fields as well. Well, she started 5:35, 300s quicker than Janine Flock, but the speed is going away from Hallie Clark. 6th at the start, only the 10th best speed as she comes down through the forest. 11th best speed. 8th place on the splits. Only the 8th best speed at the bottom as well. Where's she going to end up? 7th place at the line, 1:10.32. Well, she held her form, but It does seem this year that there is a little bit of more of a technology battle effect going on. Certainly the Bromley sleds and the Ducours Guggenberger sleds are going really well. The FES sleds are going really well. Looks like everybody else is just getting a little left behind. Well, Hallie Clark making mistakes. Lots of corrective steers all the way down. As we get next to Suzanne Creyer. Creyer, the world champion on this track in 2023. Bundestrainer Christian Baude with the sled. Suzanne, 26, Junior World Championship bronze medalist here in 2013, silver medalist in 2021, I beg your pardon, 2018. 5:29 here, so she's got a bronze and a silver in Junior Worlds here and a gold in the World Championships. It's not a bad haul from this track, is it? Just missed out on the podium last year, pipped to the bronze by Katie Eulander. Suzanne Creyer was in 4th place. 200s ahead, but losing that speed. Good exit out of Horseshoe, but only the 5th fastest in the forest. Speed seemed quite high quite early this year. If memory serves, it often used to be into the 2nd heat before we got into triple digits in the forest for the women. That means the track is absolutely flying. 133.4, 82.9 at the bottom, 7th at the line. Talk amongst yourselves for a moment as you watch Suzanne in action. I'm going to have a little look at, see if I can find the timing sheets from last year, first heat. And see where we got to in terms of pace. Nice height for Suzanne. Didn't manage to capitalise on it. Well, we'll catch up with that later. Xiaodan of China next up. Coach yelling her off. I don't know what the Chinese for go, go, go is, but they're clearly shouting in English as well. 9th place here last year. 7th in the Youth Olympic Games 2020. And in fact, Xiao is the highest placed of the Youth Olympians racing in the World Cup. Almost everybody who finished above her in the top half dozen only raced on till 2021's Junior Worlds or potentially Junior Worlds in 2022. None of them are still sliding. Corrective toe steer there. She dragged it down out of Horseshoe. 3rd best speed though. Nice looking run. 9th fastest at the start. Still 3rd best speed. Could be top 6 at the bottom. Jackie Pfeiffer is ahead of Suzanne Creyer. They're 6th and 7th. 5th best speed. Is she going to be ahead of the world champion Suzanne Creyer? Yes, she is, by 300ths of a second. So Xiaodan comes into the station in what is currently 7th place. Finished 9th last year, so just about on par for where she's been before. Last year was her best result here. She was 12th in the World Championships the season before, and obviously 7th in the Youth Olympic Games. 15th of our 39 starters, the USA's Mystique Rowe. One race here, 8th place in the World Cup last season. It does seem to me that this should be a track that mentally really suits Mystique Rowe as well. 5:27, excellent start. third quickest, but she is 1100s quicker than Janine Flock, 1800s up as she gets to wall. Mystique always seems to me to be a very cerebral slider. I know you have to have your brain in gear to survive these things, but it just seems that she's a little bit like Mystique Rowe, maybe in that, like Mimi Reniva in that way, Mystique. Oh, little tap into telephone. The lead's gone away and she flops out of Shamrock. Late onto Devil's Dyke. Gathering it back up again now. Tree, bridge, leap. Gunter Sachs, she taps onto Sachs, comes off, meandering down the straight. All the speed is gone. It was good up to Horseshoe. It's going in entirely the wrong direction now, though. 7,200s back. And the problem with such a long track, and it is a long track, it's a mile compared to the others, is that when things go wrong, there's a long way that you're losing speed up to the line.
10 seconds.
So that's the exit of Horseshoe into telephone. Came late off Horseshoe, hit telephone again here, hitting the wall before the take-on in the forest. So the timing's not quite there. Janine Flock still leads from Nicole Severa and Kim Marmons as we get to Canada's Jane Channel. 78th World Cup start for the slider from North Vancouver. 8 World Cups and the World Championships here. Best of 7th in the World Cup races. She was 6th in the Worlds in 2023. 5:28 the getaway. Still one of the fastest starters in the business. Gave away just 100th to Mystique Rowe. Gaps coming down a fraction as she gets to Sunny. She is tied for the lead with Janine Flock, and she needs to do what she does so well, having learned her craft in Calgary, then in Whistler, which is keep her form, particularly at high speed. 1600s back, but 4th best speed in the forest for Jane Channel. Can she stop that bleeding? No. 9th best speed. The gap is just getting away from her. Nice out of Sachs, down to Martineau. And out of Portago across the line in 7th place, 1:10.05. So our first few starters are really struggling because of the cold ice they had. First out, Anna Fernstedt is 15th out of 16 at the moment. Second out, Amelia Coltman. Second is 12th rather, out of 16. Third out, well, there's your anomaly. Tabby Stoker still 4th. 4th out, Tabby Freya down in 14th. 5th out, Hannah Nizer down in 13th. So of the first 5 out, 4 of them are 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th. Track is getting quicker. Good news for the USA, Sarah Roderick. 1 World Cup here, plus the team competition last year. So she had 1 extra slide. 15th she was in last year's World Cup. Look at the toes, not touching the ice. Nice and quiet, barely daring to breathe after sprinting off the blocks like a mad thing at nearly 1,800 meters above sea level as well, the start. Bear that in mind. When you're walking up steps, you're puffing and blowing because of the thinness of the air here. And you forget that. You drive up in the car seated, or you come in on the train seated, get out and you start walking around, you go, what's wrong with me? Well, the answer is there's not much air. 600s up from Sarah Roderick. Really good looking run. She's been so smooth and impressive this year. Speed's not there though. Head up a little, looking to see the line. 17th best speed at the bottom. Is this going to be a top 10 run from Sarah Roderick? Across the line. Wow, that plunge down to 15th, 1:10.54. So 5:23 start, and she was in the lead down into the forest. Nice horseshoe, watch the toes, just a little toe steer there from the left toe. Sort of half thinking with the right toe as well, but a big skid into telephone. Late flop there. Italy's Valentina Margaglio, silver medalist here last year. This is her 44th World Cup start. 4 of them have been here, and Europe Cup and Intercontinental Cup. European Championship bronze medalist here in 2022, 14th in the World Championships though in 2023, and then silver medalist last year. I mean, you pick the bones out of that. 5:20 push time, so 1800s up on Janine Flock from that, on Kimberly, I do mean on Janine Flock. 2600s up from Valentina Margaglio. Could this be the run? Could this be the day she breaks her World Cup duck? No, it won't be. Good up to horseshoe, and then you heard a lot of steering out of horseshoe, and the speed is gone away. Now, imperially, she's doing barely any less speed, but everybody is so close. Oh, and a hit as well out of Sachs, just to add a little bruise and insult to the injury. From Martineau out of Portago, 1:10.45. So her splits, second, third to horseshoe, 5th, 7th, 14th. All went away below horseshoe. It's such a critical corner. It is absolutely the signature turn here, and probably the most recognisable of any on the planet. Now watch her coming down here into telephone. Just under the camera, she's going to take that hit. Oh, I think she has a big skid and a steer. She actually got on to telephone okay, but just had to work too hard for it, and the speed going away. Next up, Corinna Leipold back in World Cup action, the 28-year-old. First World Cup here, but it's taken her a long while to get into Germany's World Cup squad. She raced here 8 times in Europe Cup. 6th place in last year's World Cup. Did not race last week in Winterberg. Just slipping behind Janine Flock. Well, Janine, starting 7th, had the perfect combination of what not quite as frosty ice as everybody who'd preceded her, but also just a brilliant drive. This is not bad at all from Corinna Leipold, but you can see the gap on the bottom right of your screen. You can see why on the bottom left of your screen, only the 10th best speed. Now she's starting to bring the speed back. Nice and clean run through the forest, those fast 4 right-handers. And a good exit out of Sachs. Keeping the toes up. Across the line, 6,500s back. So top 10 runs so far from Corinna Leipold. She's 800s behind Suzanne Kreher in 9th, the world champion. Top German slider at the moment is Jacqueline Pfeiffer is in 6th, 4/10ths off the lead. Top 3 covered by 600s, 4th place, 3,800s back. Next up, China's Li Yuxi. She finished 14th place in last year's race here, 21st in the World Championship. Those are only 2 outings on the track. 5:32. Nothing wrong with that starting. Little meander down the straight. Lee having a little bit of a disappointing season, really. 2/15ths are her best results, and another 18th place last week are her only 3 results in 6 starts that were in the top 20.
32.
8th best speed, looking good. Dirk Matchen's built sleds are clearly running well. 14th best speed, so she's not holding it. 10th fastest at the start, and losing ground in the quick section down through the forest. Little meander, Martineau to Portago. 8500s back. So Lee slots in into 14th. Xiaodan was 8th, or is 8th. 5400s back. Lee 8500s back. 25 sleds go through from our 39 starters. So more than a third of all the athletes who come to the block will do so just once. Next up, our second Italian, Alessandra Fumagalli, the 26-year-old. 2 World Cups here, 17th and 18th, 10th in the Junior Worlds in 2021. This is Alessandra's 20th World Cup start. Like her teammates, she has struggled this season. Only missed the cut in the first race in Pyeongchang, but just 1 top 20 result, and that was in race 2 in Pyeongchang. Everything else has been 21 to 24. Starting 5:32, exactly the same start as we've just seen from Liu Shi of China, but not carrying the speed as well. 14th best speed, she's down to 17th on the splits. She's our 21st slider. She really can't afford to drop any further. The track will get quicker for the later sliders. They may not have the equipment or the experience to capitalise, but there's always that danger. This is not a clean run from Alessandra Fumagalli. Nevertheless, 17th place, right behind Valentina Margalio. And by right behind, I mean only 300s behind her teammate. Coach Willi Schneider not looking at all happy this season.
10 seconds.
Again here, past Monty's Bolt, big skids. Same as we've seen just about everywhere. St. Moritz is no different, only you're going faster. Janine Flock, Nicole Severa, Kim Meilmans remain the top 3. 21 sleds down. Next up, Ana Torres Quevedo for Spain. Raced here last year to 30th place. She was 29th in the World Championships. 23-year-old. 581. And that is going to leave her really struggling to make the field. Oh, and so is that. Lots of meandering. And you just end up bouncing between the walls. All of which means, as you will understand from driving a car or riding a bicycle, if you're zigzagging, you're not going straight, you're not going as fast, and you're covering more ground. Tapping the walls all the way down just takes energy out of the sled. Head buried in horseshoe. She had the line right. Lowest speed we've seen so far, though, 97.2 in the forest. And yet still 68 miles an hour. 68.1 compared to 70.6. And down at the bottom, she'll still be honking on. Yeah, 130 kilometers an hour, 81 miles an hour. And that's what she will consider to be not a great run. And all of that little meandering at the start was replicated on the way down. She didn't have the clean flowing line, the feel that you saw from our race leader Janine Flock. And so much of that will come from experience and ice miles. Down here, even into kink 1. And out of kink 1, you can see the sled just sliding around. Next up, Song CG, Chinese rookie season slider. Did 2 races, 1 race last year in making her debut, and then this is her 8th World Cup, her 7th this season. 5:64 for her. That is the 22nd fastest start, and she remains in 22nd on the splits. It's easy to give away speed early on. You're not going to find speed until you come down out of Horseshoe, effectively out of Sunny. Down through Nash and Dixon. And Sunny rears, Horseshoe rears up ahead of you here. All you can see is a wall of ice. 5th best speed. If that's right, that's very encouraging indeed. She really got a good slingshot down out of Horseshoe. 10th best speed still as she came through the forest. A little bumpy though, not keeping that speed alive, and then again meandering through Martineau. Just saw a little wave in the line. So across the line, 1:11.11.
30 seconds.
Puts her behind Katie Uhlender and Anna Fernstedt. And just ahead of Anna Torres-Quevedo. Might be in danger of not getting a second heat here. Good height in Horseshoe. Little corrective toe drag from the left toe. Came down nicely, brought the speed. 24th of our sliders is Belgium's Aline Pelkmans. Raced here in the Junior Worlds in 2021. She was 11th in the Youth Olympic Games in 2020. One of our 5 sliders in the field that were in the Youth Olympics then. Oh, and the same as Anna Torres-Quevedo, she's got a little bit of meander going down from kink 1 to kink 2. And again, just trying desperately not to move. Now this is all about making the race. Out of Sunny, 22nd place. She needs to overhaul a couple on the lower reaches of the track. Up to Horseshoe. Nice exit down into Telephone. A little late onto Shamrock. Clean through Devil's Dyke. You can hear it's almost silent. The predominant noise here is the track announcer. Oh, huge skid there though. And a little ping off the wall out of Sachs. And that big skid might cost her a second heat. She comes across the line, 23rd out of 24. And that's a real shame. That was starting to shape up into very likely a second heat and kind of went away. Kristen Bromley down there grabbing the sled. It's definitely time Shelley Rudman made a return. Skidding off Horseshoe, and big skid here as well. Just couldn't control that speed. Tata Sunta for Estonia now. This is our 25th slider. Another youth Olympian, not here in 2020. She raced in Lillehammer in 2016, finishing in 5th place in the Youth Olympic Games. She's done 2 Junior Worlds here, 18 and 21. She did the Senior World Championships last year, finished 24th, and her World Cup best in 2021, which was for Latvia. She finished in 20th place, did not race here in last year's World Cup. '17th on the splits off the 15th fastest start. Cautionary toe steers, you can hear a little bit of scraping here and there. Just not quite trusting her line. And all of those tiny little drags are robbing her of precious hundreds. 21st best speed. Nicole Silveira of Brazil, by the way, the fastest through the forest. Top speed at the bottom here was Janine Flock. Data Zunza across the line at 22nd place. 1:10 at 97. Best result at 20th here. She's 22nd at the moment. But we still have 14 sliders to come. 25 down, the race is full. So Data there with 3 sleds behind her, may not yet be safe. Janine Flock definitely is. 30th World Cup start for Italy's Alessia Crippa here in Samoritz. Race 7 of the IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup. 16th in last year's World Cup race, one of her 2 World Cup starts here. She was 27th in the World Championships back in 2023. She's got decent experience of the track from the junior level. She's done 2 World Championships at the junior level as well, 2018 and 2021. So Alessia's been racing here for the last 4, 5, 6 seasons. 11th on the splits off the 10th fastest start. Season's best result, 13th place in Beijing. And then she was 14th last week in Winterberg. 14th on the splits, but only the 19th best speed. Pinballing down from Gunter Sachs to Martineau, named after Hubert Martineau, the first president of the Samoritz Bob Club. 1:10.26. Portago, the final corner, named after racing driver, sailor, horseman and skeleton slider, bobsleigh driver rather, Alfonso Di Portago, the Marquis Alfonso Di Portago, among his many names, Fon.
10 seconds.
Who was not only an Olympian, but also a racing driver at the top level, lost his life in the 1955 Mille Miglia. Nana Johansson now from Denmark. 5th World Cup start for the teenager, just 18 years old. 6th in the Youth Olympics in 2024 in Pyeongchang. Has never raced this track. Well, what an experience it is to come to this place for the very first time, even as a fan or a spectator or working, never mind as a slider. What an experience this must be, so different from anything else. The silence. The reason it's so quiet here is not because of the way the ice is made, from snow and water, the old-fashioned way. It's because you're not in a concrete channel supported over the ground, which all other tracks are. And the mountain doesn't vibrate when you slide down it the same way a concrete channel does. That's why it's so silent. 26 at the start. I don't think that Nana Johansson is going to get a second heat in her first outing here in Samoritz, which in a way is a big shame. Hopefully she and her brother Rasmus will be competing in the team's competition later today, so she'll get one more precious trip. Alexander Auer there you saw on the right hand side of the picture, Austrian, former World Cup and World Championship skeleton slider, now coaching the Germans. And his brother Flo will be racing in the men's competition. Their dad Christian Auer was one of the absolute standouts in the early years of converting skeleton from Cresta into the modern sport it is now. Well, first race for Nanna Johansson, and first hard hit into telephone. Next up, Kelly Curtis of the USA, the 35-year-old in her 24th World Cup start. Finished 6th on her previous World Cup outing here in 2022, 20th in the following year's World Championships. But look at the cool, calm, collected form through kink 1 and kink 2, 5:37 getaway. Missed last season as she became a mother for the first time. Her daughter has just turned 1. 600's back. Promising from Kelly Curtis, a beautiful exit out of Horseshoe into telephone, nicely into Shamrock and Devil's Dyke. 12th best speed, 12th on the splits, 8th best speed. Kelly Curtis absolutely flying now. Great form. 3rd best speed at the bottom. Beautiful run from Kelly Curtis across the line in 7th place off the 16th fastest start. Well, she is definitely in. Anna Torres-Quevedo, Nanna Johansson and now Elena Pelkmans of Belgium are out. That's a good run from Kelly Curtis. Doesn't have her start speed back yet. That will come. If that's not a proud mum and dad, I'd be very surprised. So Kelly Curtis showing what is possible. Can Julia Simchen do some of that? Slides for Switzerland. Started her sliding trajectory though for Germany. Born and bred in Saxony. So Altenburg, her home track. Raced here to 23rd last season. She was in the Junior Worlds in 2018. 5:62 start, so 26th at the start. Gotta be nice and quiet here. Just think the sled online. She managed to avoid too much wriggling. Nice lines through snake 1 and 2. Clean exit from Sunny into Nash and Dixon. Nash and Dixon don't seem to have too many traps lurking this year. Medium low line in Horseshoe doesn't really build the acceleration off it. And she's out to 27th on the split. She's not got the speed. Not a bad looking run at all, but just lacking that little bit of top speed. 24th at the bottom, Kelly Curtis, the previous sled, 3rd fastest at the bottom, and Julia across the line and not in the second heat. That is going to be the case for a lot of the remaining sliders, but maybe not all. We'll wait and see. Julia Simchen comes across the line ahead of Nanna Johansson, but behind Elena Pelkmans, currently 27th, with China's Song CG in the drop zone. What do you think? Home ice? Yeah, the Swiss have been here loads. No, track's only been open 3 weeks. Nicole Berger now for South Africa. 4th World Cup start, made her debut in Pyeongchang. Has not raced here officially under IBSF rules, but as a member of the RAF skeleton team, may well have come here before. May well also not have come here before. I'm afraid I can't tell. 5:39, just 100th off the leaders' start. And from 21st at the start up to 16th. Whoa, long skid though down into Nash and Dixon. Her right elbow out, just the way she slides. And unfortunately, that huge skid has absolutely murdered her speed. She's gone from 16th on the splits, which was absolutely promising to get in the race, to 25th place, and only the 29th best speed. Sounds good. Not sure what sled she's sliding on, but it's looking decent. She has, though, just dropped out at the top 25, and 2 hits, Martineau to Portago, seal the deal. 1:11.60. Well, that run had a lot of promise for Nicole Berger of South Africa. From 22 Group RAF, based in High Wycombe in the UK. A little skid here into Sunny, but it was the exit of Sunny. Sled breaks away from her, and she's sideways down to Nash and Dixon. And that's where it all started to go wrong. Next up, one of 3 17-year-olds in the field this weekend. Clara Asnar is the oldest of the 3. She was the oldest of 2 by a week previously, but is now the oldest of 3 17-year-olds, which still doesn't make her very old, obviously. 5:58. Didn't race here last season. This is her first time in an official IBSF race on the track. World Cup best 17th, her debut in Beijing last year, 2023. Ooh, little wave in Sunny. Through Nash and Dixon. Just wriggling herself over, middle right. So she was in the middle there, a bit too far left. She's had medium height through Horseshoe. Doesn't get that slingshot. Gets a tap out of Shamrock onto Devil's Dyke. Nice smooth run down towards the bottom of the track for Clara Asnar. Needs more speed at the start and more experience of the ice, and then those results will start to come. 1:12.57. Spain's coach and driving force, Ander Mirambel, you saw there in the leaders box. Don't know how many World Cups he slid here, loads. And like everybody, just loves this place. Yes, it's not the cheapest place to go sliding, yes, but oh my lord. So Clara Asnar does not make the cut. Song CG of China clinging on at the moment. What about Laura Vargas? Well, Laura, another youth Olympian, represented Canada in the 2016 Youth Olympic Games, finished in 18th place. Made her World Cup debut in Lake Placid in December 2023, and that remains her best result. 28th in the World Championships here in 2023. It was the first time we caught up with her at the senior level. 26 at the start, so kind of in the frame, and still up to Sunny was getting in there, but exit to Sunny and a flop between Nash and Dixon. Don't think even a brilliant Horseshoe is going to rescue this. And she got sent in low in Horseshoe. I think you have to kind of accept that further down the field, in such a big field, you may not get a second heat. And and just give everything in the first. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. And just enjoy every moment of sliding on this track. 1:12.19. 29th place, Lara Vargas, ahead of Nana Johansson, her teammate, ahead of Clara Asnar, rather, and ahead of Ana Torres-Quevedo, her teammate. So at the moment, 29th place, behind Nicole Berger of South Africa. So she was getting on the right side there, and then the sled coming left into the middle of Horseshoe. 32 sleds down in our field. Janine Flock the leader, and we still have 7 to go. So who is going to make it into the top 25? Maybe Liechtenstein's Katharina Eigenmann. Eigenmann raced here in the 2020 Youth Olympic Games to 16th place. It's her 10th World Cup start. That's a nice, quiet exit. All right, not the fastest 5:64 getaway, but what speed you've got, you must keep alive, and she's doing a decent job of that so far. Looks like she's just working a little against the sled that's a bit loose. Yeah, out of Sunny, and then through Nash and Dixon. Ooh, and again it's meandering around. Because the ice is so cold and so hard here, you can run with a tiny contact patch without really digging in. The problem is that it gives you less control. She was up to 27th, closing on the top 25. But the speed's not quite there. 29th place, she's going to be somewhere around Nicole Berger of South Africa, Lara Vargas of Colombia. And across the line, Katharina Eigenmann from Liechtenstein, 2.6 back, 1:12.16. And that will still have felt epically quick. 67 miles an hour through the forest, 80 miles an hour plus at the bottom of the track. You are not hanging around. 80 miles an hour, think of it, with your head an inch off the ice. Head first, the old bone dome stuck out ahead of the body does weird things to your nervous system. Next up, China's Liang Yuxin. So either she or Song Siji will be in the race. Song is 25th. 6th World Cup start for our rookie. Oh, and Liang's not going to make it in. Not on that kink 1, kink 2 stretch. Well, she started 25th fastest, only 1100s behind the leader, but already 7/10 back, and that's all of that sliding and skidding and toe dragging to try and straighten her up. She got off kink 1, all out of shape, and it did not really come back. Up to Horseshoe, really low line in Horseshoe. Not feeling the love for this track yet, I don't think. I'm sure she's enjoying the surroundings and the scenery as much as anyone else. But Liang Yuxin does not look like she's really gelling with this track at the moment. Lines are decent. Speed is better than a lot we've seen. But she's going to be right out towards the tail of the field. 29th on the splits, ahead of Katharina Eigenmann by 0.05 of a second. Well, 25th at the start, 29th at the bottom, but she recovered some of her composure further down. But this is where it all went wrong. Just got that tiniest little skid, and then it's bouncing her against the wall, bouncing her against the wall, bouncing her against the wall. It's actually a really low line in Horseshoe for Liang. So Song Siji clings on for another sled. Next up, a debutante in the World Cup and the youngest slider in the field, Data Nemane from Latvia, Youth Olympic silver medalist last winter. She's done 7 Euro Cup races and the 24 Junior Worlds since those Youth Olympics. So 5:45, 20-second start. Is she going to make the cut on her first outing in the World Cup in the biggest field of the season? At the moment, she is in the race. And if she gets in now, that might be it. She might stay. 26, just hovering outside. 31st best speed. Drifting away. And the speed's not there, I'm afraid. Again, may have just wanted a little more control on the track compared to top speed. But our World Cup debutante comes across the line, 1:11.71. And just to make you feel old, Data Nemane was born on the 13th of July, 2007. So the youngest of our 3 17-year-olds. Not a bad run into Sunny. Looks like she's got plenty of potential and lots of years in which to learn. Next up for Malta, Shannon Galea. World Cup best, her debut in La Plana in 2023. She's raced here in Europe Cup, World Cup and the World Championships in 2023 as well. 5.74 start. 33rd here last year. '35th start so far out of the 36 sleds. Little tap coming into Sunny. Little skid on the exit as well. Middle line through Horseshoe, nice clean landing through Telephone and Shamrock. Left in Devil's Dyke. And then Nameless, the next right, next left, rather, the next right is Tree, then Bridge. Ooh, skidding into Leap. Taps into Sachs, and on the exit. Didn't have the speed to get up onto Sachs the way she wanted to. And through Martineau and Portago, across the line. 1:13.25. So Malta's Shannon Galea in 36th position, 3 to go. And Song CG of China might just be safe in 25th. Well, again, out of kink 1. Little meandering, not big toe steers and not big skids. And there is Shannon. 37, another 2020 Youth Olympian, Anja Unterscheidner of Austria, finished in 9th place in the Youth Olympic Games, just 2 spots behind China's Xiao Dan, 2 ahead of Belgium's Elena Peltmans, 3 ahead of world champion Hallie Clark, and 7 ahead of Katarina Eigenmann. So, does she have what it takes to make the cut? 5:56. Well, it's her first World Cup this season, but she might be the danger, potentially, to Song CG. 28th at the start, up to 27th as she gets down to Snake. Out of Sunny. Can hear a truck going past on the road, through Nash and Dixon, nice and clean. Nice height in Horseshoe. 28th place, but speed is decent. Little tap coming on to Devil's Dyke. This is going to be close. I think in the end it is her or Song Si-ji, and it looks like she's got the speed in the forest. Clean out of Sachs. That determines it. 11th best speed for Anja Unterscheider. And she's going to be across the line and in the race, 24th, 1:10.86. So the Austrian is in, the 21-year-old, and Song Si-ji of China is out. And that means now that Darzunta of Estonia is the Lanterne Rouge, the tail end Charlie in the field. She's in 25th. She held it together there, Anja Unterscheider. She was the name that I was waiting for. Now, 2 more to go. What about Sarah Schmidt for Switzerland? Finished 19th in last year's World Cup race here, 22nd in the World Championships in 2023. Did not need that. 10th best start, but the speed has gone away. Best result this season, 15th place in Altenburg. Yeah, that 10th best start and that pinging around early on, down to 25th, in real danger of dropping out of the race here. She has got to be so clean from here on down. Ooh, the Swiss had time on the track in the Christmas New Year break, such as it was. Needs a good horseshoe. Nicely into telephone. Out of Shamrock, still not got the speed. 29th best speed. She's not going to make it, is she? It's going to be close, but I don't think she's got enough to overhaul Darzunta. 23rd best speed at the bottom. Is she in or is she out? 27th. She does not make the second heat. That is a little bit of a surprise. Well, made the cut last year, comfortably finished in the top 20, made the cut in the World Championships in 2023. Start draw, not so much of a disadvantage here, coming out 38th. But it was the mistakes that cost her speed early on. She never really got back, and then a tap on the run down to Martineau as well. Yeah, what a shame. And finally for Canada, our 39th starter. This is Grace Defoe. Made a World Cup debut here last season, and 25th place remains her World Cup best result. 5:51, 28th best. And anywhere else, starting 39th, really confirms that you're almost not going to make the race. But here it is definitely possible. You see sun coming onto the track. That's helping to bring some of that overnight frost off. 26th on the splits. Grace Defoe might make the race here. A good horseshoe could really help. Nice into telephone and Shamrock in the race. 14th best speed, 100 kilometers on the nose. She's in the race. It's her or Darzunta. Grace Defoe in her 8th World Cup start. Looks like making the race for only the 2nd time in her career. Both times have been here in St. Moritz. 1:10.67. Smile from Joe Cicchini, the Canadian coach. She is in, and Darzunta unfortunately is out. Anja Unterscheider hangs on. So the bottom 4 started 1st, 11th, 39th and 37th. Nice work from Grace Defoe. Well, again, clearly this is a track that she gels with. And again, that late start draw, not disadvantageous.
Shout out Vital Sports and Vital Strength. Thanks, guys, for watching.
They might be watching on delay. It's a little early in Canada still. A little early everywhere still. Janine Flock is our first heat leader. Last weekend, the winner, and her victory in Winterberg was her 40th World Cup medal. She now holds the all-time record as the most successful medal winner in women's skeleton. And she leads after the first of our two heats. And what a tight lead group it is. 600s cover the top three, and then behind them, 38, 39, 40 hundreds back, 48, 49, 54, 57. The gaps are pretty tiny. Now, the field will concertina in the second heat, and the fastest 25 go through. But is anybody other than the top three going to get a medal? Anja Unterscheider makes the cut. Data Sunter, Song Siji, Sarah Schmidt, Alena Peltmans, Julia Simpson do not. Neither do Nicole Berger. Rookie Data Neymane, Liang Yuxin, or any of the remaining 39 sliders. So 14 will join the fans trackside to watch the second heat, and I'm sure they will enjoy the atmosphere here in St. Moritz. The others will be back on ice at 10:15 local, 09:15 GMT, 04:15 if you're keeping count on the East Coast. We'll be back then. Bye for now.